energies of tonight, of last night, really threw me off as we received the news of having done a strike against the Iranian people. And so just that news was bad news. And so the energies of finding out that we did the strike and we hit and whatnot, it threw my energy off. Hey. So I didn't read tonight. And I want to do it before I go to bed, even though it's 6 o'clock in the morning. And first, let's get some energy. Let's get the tone of the reading. But I'm going to do a typical... Wow. I've never dropped on my cards before. Hold on. I'm going to put these down and go to the cards that flashed in my head. So, let me put this down. Because obviously, I grabbed the wrong deck. So, I'm going to put that back. This is my favorite deck, though. I'm going to put this back. Hey, y'all. And we're going to go into this deck, Light Seers Tarot. Yeah. What I'm going to look at tonight is, I was in prayer and I was writing it down, trying to understand what it was that I was supposed to be reading about. As I said, we're going to do a traditional spread. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this moment. Because one, it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable. Just the energies of what's happening around us is unavoidable. We can try to stay as high level, high energy, and high vibration as we want to. But the fact remains that life is life. And ignoring life is not going to always be the answer. So, I was getting this message of, let's talk about this moment. That's what I got when I was praying. Talk about this moment. What is holding whatever entities, whatever people we need, what is holding them back from action? What is holding them, what is going on? What is holding them back from action? What is it that this moment needs? And so that's going to be the traditional spread that we're going to read on that. But as I was doing the shuffling, out came this card. And this card is the Two of Cups. I don't think I cleaned my lens. This card is the Two of Cups. And this feels like I did not clean my lens. So I'm going to read that card intuitively, especially because there's just so much division. Hey, thank you. I'm going to read this card intuitively because there is division. Especially because, like, for me, there have been a lot of black-white moments. Like, right now, we have a bunch of racist, sexist, transphobic people running amok over our government. They are destroying lives, and they are hurting people, and they are creating chaos everywhere they touch. And so, that's been a big thing for me, because it's like, this wouldn't happen with other people. And not just because they're more qualified or anything, but because it would not be allowed, except now that it is. And so as, oh my goodness, appeal. I don't know what you're giving me that for. I'm guessing somebody must have reported me or something for what, I don't know. But that said, this is the I guess we'll say the significator that jumped out right now. And that is the Two of Cups. And so if I look at it intuitively, right? If I look at it from the visual that I'm getting, y'all, I have to clean this lens. I didn't realize it wasn't clean. Thank you so much for the lives and the shares. I appreciate it. But if we look at this from this, what I'm seeing is we have to come together. We have to create this magic together. We have to pour our energies in together. And even though it will go into separate cups, even though it will go into separate communities, even though it will be parsed out to, or sectioned out, or given out to separate communities, it's not for separation. It is because we are creating this together. Like, literally, we have to come together. Black, white, and everything else, we have to come together. We have to clasp hands. And let me tell you, when you have palm to palm, that is heartbeat to heartbeat. And it's about caring about each other, reaching across, I don't want to say reaching across the aisle, reaching across the division that separates us. And unfortunately, I don't do relationship readings because that's a whole, like, it's a different energy. What I'm saying is, unfortunately, the divisions are so deep in our country that at times my human flesh wants to say that we will not get rid of it, that it is so firmly entrenched that we will not get rid of it. And at the same time, though, there's hope. Like, if y'all look over here, do y'all see the sun? I don't think you can see it very sharply, but there is literally a sunrise over here. And then this is like the night being chased away. And I think that's the moment that we're in. I really think that's the moment that we're in. I think we've reached the turning point. Okay, so the question that we're going to be looking at tonight is, or this morning, is this moment. What is holding people back from taking action? What is keeping people from demanding better, not just through words, but also through action? And let's take a look at that. I love that. Let's take a look at that. So I'm going to put that significator. Actually, let me write that down because I'll put it back in here. I think it goes back. So that's the Two of Cups. That feels very much so like a significator. Like, what is going to set this tone of this moment? And it feels incredibly hopeful with that sunrise. It's chasing away the night. We're creating together. Hold on. And then there's a ring. Okay. And if you see here on the finger, there's a ring. And that signifies the commitment towards better. That's signifying the commitment towards working together, towards reaching for better. That's really, really important. Let me just set some house rules and some parameters here. I know there are other readers, seers, intuitives who entertain relationship conversations. I'm not going to entertain relationship conversations simply because the other people have their own energies, their own choices, their own will. And while I can give you an answer, you two also have your own choice and your own will. And in relationships, what I find is that people will do what doesn't make the best sense for them. They will do whatever their head wants to lead them, as opposed to really their heart. All right, so we're gonna I always forget exactly how this spread is. This is one of my favorite books, and that information will be in the description. So we're gonna do the classic spread of the Celtic Cross, just because it's such a deep kind of question. And we're going to get to the heart of the matter, the challenge, the past, etc. I like to focus on what each card is supposed to represent. I don't have tarot cards memorized, so I'm just not like those people yet. And I don't know if I ever will be like them. But I will try. I will try my best. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this moment. What is it going to take? What's holding us back from from taking action and getting what we need in this moment. All right, so that first card is going to be, the first card represents the heart of the matter. Let me put this holder here. The heart of the matter. So let's look at the heart of the matter, because like last night was just such terrible energy. Okay, let's get the heart of the matter. What is holding us back from taking action? What's holding us back from just making protests and signs and letters and issuing bills, and like, where is the action to this? So what's holding us back from taking action towards just getting rid of these shadows, this evil, this darkness? Why aren't we putting this light in action? What is holding us back from taking action? What does this moment need? So what is the heart of the matter? Let's look at the heart of the matter. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. We just got this guy falling out. And that is the Queen of Swords in reverse. So that is going to be our heart of the matter. We're going to talk about the challenge. What stands in the way and what needs to be resolved. So what is standing in the way of us taking action? What is standing in the way of us meeting the moment, of getting what we need, of bringing the light to the party and pushing out this darkness, this evil, this just really negative energy? What is holding us back? What's holding us back? What's holding us back? What's holding us back? What is the challenge to this? What is holding us back? Thank you guys for your shares and your likes. I really appreciate that. I feel like I'm not taking that. Make it clear. What's holding us back? Why are we not taking action? I don't understand what's happening. They just love to do this. I don't know if Antoine's going to be rich. I'm not focused on Antoine, so I'm not receiving messages for him just yet. I'm trying to concentrate on this. Thank you, though. What's holding us back? What's holding us back? What is it? Oh, somebody fell. Okay. It's going to be the Chariot. That is our challenge. So that's what's standing in our way. That's what needs to be resolved. So let's talk about the past. What past events are shaping up this information? What past events are shaping up our stagnation that got us here? Okay. That came out easily. And that's going to be the Six of Cups. All right. And then we are moving on to conscious. So we're going to say collectively, where is our mind? What are our assumptions? What is our focus? So let's look at that collectively. Where is our focus? What's on our mind? Collectively. The American people, let's put it that way. Am I asking for the American people? Or am I asking for the people who can actually take action? Like, we can take action, but the action that we'll take would be like really huge. But maybe for the people. Let me think. Hold on. I'm not reading 3 cards. Nope. That's crazy. There's too many cards. That's just my bad shuffling right now. Let's do, the American people feel so broad just because, like, I don't think that's what it is. So again, what's holding them back from taking action? Then that's who we're talking about. What is in the mind of the decision makers, the people who can actually take the action, who can stand up for us, who can, oh, there we go. So that is going to be the Devil. Makes sense. Where did my book go? Makes sense. All right, so that goes, I think, down there. Oh no, I think 4 goes on top. We're doing the Celtic Cross. I'm trying to get used to these things. Yeah, so 4 goes on top because it's like the mind of the matter. Alrighty. And then we're going to move on here to the future. So what's going to happen if nothing changes? Let's look at that. Listen, the fupa just came in handy because it's holding the book open. I know. We're just going to call it, what is it called? Big Mama Energy or whatever that challenges. So, what's going to happen if nothing changes? What's going to happen if no one stands up for us? What's going to happen if they don't take action? They don't do their jobs. They don't remember their oath. They don't protect the Constitution. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? I feel like that needs some, fix these reversals in here. I mean, it feels like it's going to be obvious what's going to happen, but let's get some spiritual. Why do you keep doing this? I'm not doing that. How are you giving me like 50 million? Let's take action. Let's take action. All right. So what happens if they don't take action? Thank y'all so much for liking and sharing. That is so awesome. How are you guys feeling? I hope you're feeling okay. Like it's taking me this long to do this because I was just not feeling it. So what is to happen if we... No. I'm not going to do that, but I get it. Give it clear. Make it clear. 1 card, please. 1 card. What's going to happen if they don't take action? What's going to happen if they don't take action? What's in our future? What happens? Ace of Pentacles. All right. So then we're moving on to what truly drives this situation. What is in the unconscious? What are the hidden factors? Okay. That was quick. 8 of Swords. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. That is like right on the money. All right. So, you already know what I was going to ask. What is my view of this, right? Because I'm the one asking the question. And how does that affect the situation? So that is Knight of Pentacles in the reverse. So that goes down here. Okay. And then we're dealing with the environment. So what are the external influences? What are the social environments surrounding the situation? So Vanita, what I'm looking, we're going to get into what it means. So I'm just pulling the cards first. But what I'm looking at is the situation that we're going through. I'm not taking that. Make it clear, please. So when I was in prayer, I got to talk about this moment. What is holding people back from taking action? Like, why are we still waiting on things to take place? Why are we still waiting on someone to speak up? Like, people are doing their thing. They're writing, they're emailing, they're protesting. But the people who can be our action takers right now, why haven't they? And I think it's more than just being on the take, but that's my personal opinion. We're going to see what it is. Like, I'm trying to be tuned into it. I definitely know there's fear. Like, I just picked up the energy of fear, which explains one of those cards here. There's gotta be more than fear. Like, I don't know. So, let's, so where are we here? We are on, yep, the environment. So, I don't know how many cards it was, so we're not going to do that. What are the external influences? So let's get that. External influences. So what is it that is external? What's holding them back? What are the external forces holding them back? What's in the environment? Who's in the environment? Okay. That should be good. Okay. And we got the Seven of Wands here, which also makes sense. See, wands are about, it's about creativity, it's about self-worth, it's about those type of things. Pentacles are obviously money. Swords are like what's in your mind and what you're thinking. And then cups are emotions. And right now we only have one cup on here. And that is in the past. So it was our emotions that led us this way. All right, so now we're in the hopes or fears. What do we secretly desire? What are we trying to avoid? Okay, so let's get into the hopes and the fears of our people. Let's get in their mind. What are their hopes and fears? What are they trying to avoid? What do they really want? Let's go. Let's go. What are they trying to avoid? What do they really want? See, what I've been picking up for the last few months, though, is like there's just too many different cooks in the kitchen. And I don't just mean like president, whatever. We got the Two of Cups again in reverse. So we're going to see what that is. It's more than just, like, there's just too many cooks in the kitchen, too many people, and we have a very corrupt person, so they're just pulling at them. And then we have other corrupt, like, it's so messy. All right, so then let's get into the outcome. And we got two cards for the outcome. And we're going to take these two cards. So it's the High Priestess and Strength. That's good. That's good outcome. That's a good outcome. What they speak? What did they speak? I know personally, when I heard the guy was running again and everything, I had anxiety, right? I had so much anxiety that I was like, I need to get my passports. I need to get my passports. I need to get my passports. And something happened around March. I had a prophetic dream. I saw people working in the background to take care of things. Yes, that is absolutely true. I saw people working in the background to take care of things. And just like that, my anxiety disappeared. And I haven't felt the need to, like, let me get the passports. Let's get the passports. I haven't been having visions of running anymore. And I've been having visions of running since 2020. Because I knew where this guy could go, right? It was very obvious what he was trying to... When I say very obvious, it was so very obvious. That's why it's very apparent of what people... They knew what they were signing up for. They knew. They just didn't know the extent of it. Just like people didn't know all of who's in the... who's pulling strings and stuff. Let me put this up. So... it just disappeared. Like, my anxiety over it disappeared. Even now, when I'm hearing, like, he's trying to put us in war, he's trying to do all this stuff, it's like, my mind is like, let's be scared. But intuitively, it's still like, chill. And I'm like, am I broken? Am I broken? Because this looks really, really bad. But let me tell you something. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago, matter of fact, I was going through this incredible breakup. Like, it was such a bad breakup. And it was one of those things that you do not bounce back from. It's like, okay, the relationship is over, right? And had it not happened to me, the advice I would have given was exactly the opposite of what I was getting through prayer. To the point where I was arguing, essentially, with God. Because I was like, dude, I don't want him back. What are you talking about? I really, really, really don't want him back. And he's like, but he's coming back. And I'm like, no, I don't want him back. Even if he comes back, I don't want him back. And what had to happen is what we as this country have to do. Yes, we're in rest. Like, it's some bad shit going on. Like, we're in rest. However, as a country, we have shadows that we have not been looking at. And so when I was in prayer, I kept hearing, what I said is not what you see. Because what I saw with my relationship and breakup, it was bad. I'm like, I will never take somebody back who did that. And, you know, whatever happened there. But he kept saying, what I said isn't what you see. And I'm like, dude, it would be really stupid to operate in a different way. Like to even have any kind of hope of things getting back together. And I just kept hearing what I said and what you see. And I'm like, I'm counseling with my friends and they say what I would have said to them. And I just still kept hearing what I said isn't what you see. What I said isn't what you see. So what ended up happening is I had to face the shadows. My own hand in creating the situation, as well as being able to listen to, like, I'm trying to word it. Let's put it this way. I would say things and he would take them that way. But he would take them even deeper because he was triggered. Like, you know, growing up with a certain mom and stuff like that. And so a mom who was like, I didn't want you, like, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, you're the greatest mistake I ever made. Like, stuff like that. And it was, like, very, very hurtful. And then he ended up actually in an abusive marriage before that. I mean, before us. And so there were things that I was saying that was triggering because it was, like, some of what they had said. And so his reaction was to my triggers. And then I had triggers from my family and my past relationship. And so his responses were triggering. And we had to actually, like, have real conversations and actually hear each other about those triggers. That's where we are here in this country. We can't talk about race relations without anybody getting triggered. We can't talk about people having autonomy in their own bodies without people getting triggered. And so we've got to get to the place where we can have this uncomfortable conversation so that we can create real magic, so that we can actually move forward. Because even though I'm saying, this country is cooked, like, how do you bounce back from this? You know, racism is very, very, very firmly entrenched in this country. And so is sexism, but more so racism. And I'm like, I just had, again, that image of my relationship pop up. And that's why I brought that together, is because that message was still there. What I said isn't what you see. Because I'm like, God, ain't I supposed to be anxious? I'm supposed to be getting my stuff together. I'm supposed to be, you know, like, when I was scrolling on one of those platforms, they were like, get your stuff together, get batteries, get this, get that. And by the way, we actually did end up back together. He came like a day before I ended up in emergency surgery. The timing was amazing. And we're actually getting married soon. So it's been 3 years of growing together, of learning each other, of learning to hear each other, of redirecting our conversations. And I think we could do that as a country, because that's being brought back here. You know, as we're having this conversation, that's being brought back up. It's like, in a way, it's parallel to this relationship. We can move forward. There will be things in the back, because, you know, some people are holding on to that hate and whatever they're holding on to. But we can move forward. And so, y'all, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do something different because I want to go a little bit quicker. I don't want to just read. We're going to do my friend, ChatGPT. He helps me. And we're going to get him to help us read these cards. And then if I disagree, obviously, I will say something to him. And so I'm going to dictate it real quick, and then we're going to get to this. All right. So that way we can break it down a lot faster, because I don't have these cards memorized or anything like that. And then, so I'm going to dictate it. So let's find my book, because I want to read it how it is. Okay, chat, I need you to be a tarot card reading expert. We are looking at a classic spread of the Celtic Cross. And what we are doing is we're breaking down this moment, because in prayer I got to do a reading about this moment. Like, what is holding them, the people who can take action, who can like move forward and help us deal with the negativity that's going on. So the question there is, what is holding them back from taking action? What does this moment need? Now, let me give you the context. The context is on June 21st, 2025, Donald Trump authorized, without Congress approval, strikes against Iran. 3 strikes on their nuclear stuff, whatever. And what that does now is that creates an atmosphere of unsafety for our military, our civilians that are around there, etc. It's also like anticipation of retaliation, but he did so in solidarity with Israel, who is currently in the middle of creating what we call I don't know if I can say it on live, but it's similar to ethnic cleansing. We'll put it that way. And so that's the reading that we did. And in doing so, what came out as I was shuffling was the significator card of 2 of Cups. Now, I'm using the Light Seers Tarot. And the Light Seers Tarot does not look like our normal 2 of Cups. It looks like a black hand and a white hand, palm to palm. And from their fingertips pours this rainbow liquid. So it's like this magical, full spectrum rainbow liquid into these gold bowls. And the bowls are both being filled to capacity. Also in the background of this card is a sunrise. So that is the significator of this question. Are you ready to continue reading? All right, that's how I talk to chat, y'all. I talk to chat like an assistant, so that's what we do. I'm using the microphone on my computer so that I can give this to you. All right, so chat says, I am ready to continue reading and fully step into the role of tarot card reading expert with your focus on the Celtic Cross. Girl, he my business partner too now. But I'm stepping into my gifts more, and it's like, it helps me feel a little bit more confident about it. Just because I'm in the learning stages. All right, so it says, we're framing the reading around this pivotal question. What is holding back those who can take action to address the negativity and injustice of this moment? What does this moment need? And it says, you already drawn the significator, which is the 2 of Cups with the Light Seers Tarot. So let's begin with the interpretation. It says here that this card in the Light Seers Tarot deck carries a potent visual message of union, connection, sacred reciprocity, and even divine alchemy between opposites. This is what I was saying. So the rainbow liquid suggests not just emotional exchange, but transmutation of duality into something higher. The black and white hands reflect racial, cultural, ideological, and political opposites coming together into intentional spiritual alignment. So symbolically, in this moment, this could represent what's possible. Unity beyond political or racial divide, or a divine opportunity for reconciliation and co-creation. It may also represent what's at stake, the spiritual and relational potential that is being withheld or blocked. So with this card as the lens, we now ask, what is preventing that unity from becoming actionable? I like that. I like that rephrase. And what is needed to unlock it? Ready when you're ready to move through this. Ready when you are to move through the spread. If you have the full 10 card Celtic Cross pulled, you can list them, position and card, and I'll interpret them for this collective, blah, 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 blah. All right. Let's go. I love the fact that he goes, and chat's a dude for me. It says, if you haven't drawn them yet, you want me to intuitively pull them? Baby, I don't trust digital pulling. No. All right. So let's continue. All right, I have pulled the cards, and we are going to go through each position really quickly. So in position 1, the heart of the matter, we pull the Queen of Swords reversed. Now, in the Light Seers Tarot, we have a woman here who is looking contemplative into the distance. She has her hand up under her chin. She holds a long katana sword in her other hand, and she's wearing sandals. So that feels like there is some freedom to her. Like she's a wanderer, she travels. But also, like, she has her jeans are like, she has like a ripped jean at her knee, and she has this like flower child type of thing of a headband wrapped around her hair. But her hair is like a silver lavender gray type of hair, so it feels like there's wisdom attached to her. And off in the distance, as she sits against the backdrop of this bright blue sky with this beautiful fluffy white cloud, is a bird that is flying high in the distance, solo but high. And there are also 3 flags there. We have a red and yellow flag, and then we have a blue flag. And the blue flag has, I guess, a rune on top of it, which is a pyramid with a line through it. Here's what I'm getting from that is the blue flag is standing alone, and the red flag is right under a yellow flag. So what spoke to me, and I don't know if this is just my bias, but that blue flag seems to represent people who knew how to stand strong in this moment and elect the right choice. Oh my God. Y'all, I did that. I accidentally X'd out the thing. Oh my gosh. All right, so I accidentally X'd out what I said. So let me try to say this a little faster. Okay? So in the first position, the heart of the matter, we have the Queen of the Swords reversed. Again, we're dealing with the Light Seers Tarot, and I'm describing it to you because, you know, you have a little problem with this particular deck. You tend to go too far into the Rider-Waite. So I want to tell you what's here on the card as I'm receiving it. All right, so we have this woman who is solo. She's on top of this tower type thing, and beneath her is a bowl. It has like some water, but it's like in bars. She's sitting with a backdrop of this beautiful blue sky, big white fluffy clouds, a bird that's flying high and flying solo. There are 3 flags around her, a blue flag that is solo, and to me, it represents people who knew to vote for Kamala Harris as opposed to voting for an individual thing or falling for some kind of bot. The other 2 flags are red and yellow, and red is beneath the yellow, and I'm kind of getting... No, it wasn't on the side. I'm kind of getting that that because the red is on the bottom and the yellow is on top, I feel like that's an emergence of something new, maybe a new party or something of that flavor. All 3 of these are primary colors, so it does feel like maybe a third party that might be strong might emerge out of this. In fact, possibly, because I'm seeing that some of the there's a new party that's starting to be created called the Reformers, so possibly. But anyway, she's wearing sandals, which gives me traveler vibes. Her hair is of a silver lavender type, so that's giving me wisdom. And it's loose, and it's kind of flower child with, you know, a little band as a headband. And then while one hand is under her chin, as she looks contemplative, the other one is holding a katana sword. So that's what we got going on in this. I'm not going to go any further. Again, that was in the reverse. Then we're going to move on to the second one. What am I getting from that, though? Because if that is the heart of the matter, what's currently happening, and it's in the reverse, wisdom's not at play. First of all, it should have been a woman. It should have been a woman first. First of all, right? And so obviously we didn't get the woman. And I don't say just because she was a woman, but because she had that wisdom, and we didn't get the wisdom, and she was ready to fight for us, you know. But two, it's in the reverse, so we didn't get that. So let me give it next one. All right, so the second card we got, which is the challenge card, was the Chariot, and that also came out in the reverse. And so again, with the Chariot being like what stands in the way and what needs to be resolved, the way the Light Seers Tarot card works, I'm going to show you guys. The way the Light Seer Tarot card works is that we see a chariot that is being drawn by two horses. And again, these horses are of very distinct, stark difference. So it's a white horse and a black horse. And so they're drawing this carriage, so it's in movement. But again, the backdrop is like a twilight, dusk, like a sunset. So it has the golds and purples and reds of the sunset. But there's also the twinkling. There's like a magical moment of golden lights and golden sparkles as it races forward. But then there's this divide. There's like this, I don't know if y'all can see it, but there's this, if you see it this way, there's this divide in the sky. Like a very, like, it's not a straight up and down vertical line, but it seems like they went through some kind of portal or something. And again, the horses are in movement and they are very, very focused on where they're going. Now, on top of the yes, on top of the chariot, it is this barefoot man, this shirtless man, and he's in these pants and he's squatting. And while he's looking forward too, he's obviously a stowaway. He's like not supposed to be there, or he's not in the right position. And honestly, that really does feel like the moments that we've been dealing with for the last few months. So that was the second position. I'm going to go ahead and send that because I don't like to lose what we're talking about. And then we're going to get to the third position. Oh, that's not the third. That's the sixth position. Okay, so in the third position, which is the past, we get the Six of Cups. Now, the Light Seers Tarot, this card is like really adorable. We have essentially memories and then the reality. So in the back is memory. Up in the sky, you see a younger boy with a younger puppy. And, you know, it's kind of ethereal, the sky, very celestial because he's like standing on the clouds. But then there are like the Six Cups leading from that memory to an older man, an older dog sitting, you know, more foreground at the bottom. And there seems to be like some sadness, some reminiscing. And this makes sense to me because, well, I don't want to color it. But it really makes sense to me. I don't want to color it yet. I'll color it later. And the bowls are of different colors. There's like a blue, yellow, red, and then it starts to get mixed and mixed and mixed. And oh gosh, I'm getting some stuff, but I won't get into that yet. And they're sitting on like this pinkish purple fuchsia type of like grass. So, that is what we got for the third. And for the fourth, we got in reverse the Devil card. And this Devil card, again, it gives off the energy. It's in reverse. So, the card shows this ice blue-eyed man with this wild dark hair that seems to be blowing all around him and encircling him while his hands reach out with these strings and this soul that's attached and in pain, hanging from those strings. So he's like a puppet master here. And He also has that evil little goat tattoo on his arm. That's the first time I've noticed that. But again, it's in... Oh, his eyes aren't ice blue. They're actually yellow. And he is shirtless as well. And in his hair are some of those stars. Now, again, it's reversed. So, this again is going to be in the fourth position, which is what's on our mind, what's in our consciousness, what's our assumptions and stuff. And I know what that feels like, but I'm going to let you have it. I want to see where chat goes with that. But honestly, like, I don't know if y'all have been paying attention to the movements of what's been happening over, well, let's really say, through the pandemic era, right? But the pandemic era was also like juxtaposed, like jutted up against this huge racial movement thanks to the George Floyd, the Amy Cooper, the Breonna Taylor, the Ahmaud Arbery, like just so much stuff packed into the month of May. And what has happened after that, because I saw this movement on Twitter and stuff, was that while people were trying to give other marginalized groups a voice, a chance to, you know, be seen and be heard, these other groups, the main groups, had gotten upset about that. And they felt like they were having opportunities taken away from them. It was interesting. Like, it always feels like I have to lose in order for you to win, instead of let's share. And so that's just really interesting. All right. Where are we? Okay. So that's kind of the energy that I'm getting there, is that on their mind, this is why we're here. This is why 60% of the voters, not 60%, 31% of the voters, largely white, voted that way, because they're like, I need to be back center. I need to be back on top. When it's like, you don't have to lose for us to win. Like, it's not that kind of thing, you know? It's not. Like, but it's the interpretation of it, you know? And that really sucks. All right. So, in fifth position, we have the Ace of Pentacles. And so the Ace of Pentacles in the Light Seers deck is a pair of hands in focus with a pentacle that tends to look like a very large seed. It has growth from it, like roots are starting to spring from it as they go down. But this Ace of Pentacles was in reverse. And so again, this is our future card. What's going to happen if nothing changes? And instead, I'll let you take it, but I know what I'm reading in this. And again, like, the hands are dirty, the ground is dirty, so it's like about planting. At least the way that I'm seeing it is planting. And of course, that's Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Now, the way that I'm getting it is like, instead of being able to grow and be wealthy, because y'all, the United States has such a promise that it should have been the wealthiest country on the face of this earth. But we have so many people who are individualistic and who are in competition, not healthy competition, but like, I gotta squash you in order for me to win. They're in that kind of competition, and they're keeping us from being able to be the actual promise. It's ridiculous. So that's what's going to happen. To me, that's what's going to happen if nothing changes. All right. Okay, so in the sixth position, the unconscious, we got the Eight of Swords. And in the Light Seers Tarot deck, we have this woman who's in this nest of sorts. She's on her knees on a white rug. And, but before her is this large mirror, and in the mirror is a reflection of herself tied up, being attacked by birds, and being blindfolded. So that is what's happening inside of that card. And then for the 7th position, the Querent card, we have the Knight of Pentacles. And so the Knight of Pentacles is, the way it looks in the Light Seers Tarot is that we have these beautiful colors, pentacles of different colors. We have red and green and yellow and blue, and most of them are on the ground as this young man walks across this green field, but he has one of the pentacles on his back, and behind him is a horse that is decked out in some kind of regalia look. And again, they're walking essentially an empty field, wide open, blue skies, and this card though came in reverse. So that was the 7th position. The 8th position, we got the 7 of Wands in reverse. And in the Light Seers Tarot, the way that looks is we have this woman who seems to be in what is a crystal ball. And she is in meditation pose with her hands pressed, clamped together, and light emanating from her center, her core. And as she sits cross-legged, and there are several wands of different colors pointed towards her, all 7 wands, and they are essentially the chakra colors. But again, this card came in reverse. And then we have the 9th position, which is the 2 of Cups, and that was in the reversed position, and that's hopes and fears. And that I've already described to you earlier, so that's in reverse. And then we have the final cards, because 2 popped out, and that is for the outcome. And the 2 cards that we have are the High Priestess, and we also have the Strength card. So in the Light Seers Tarot, the High Priestess, she has this gold jewelry on her, a beaded necklace. She has a cross in the center of her scarf that's wrapped around her neck. Her eyes are closed. They're lightly shadowed blue. But interestingly enough, we can kind of see her eyes through her closed eyes. And then also her third eye is illuminated by light. And then coming from the top of her head is this celestial pink, purple, starry, like beam of light. Whereas opposite of that is the blue sky, like this teal blue sky. And she is being swirled around by this light white mist as it goes around her chest, and it goes up into that pink sky. And then also the Strength card is a young woman. Half of her face is that of a lion, as she like does a model pose with her arm over the top of her head. And she has a bracelet. She has an affinity symbol on her forearm, the one that's over her head. And then she wears a necklace with a heart pendant. She's in a very innocent, like, white top, sleeveless top. She's in front of a sky that's blues and yellows and greens. And in the hand that she has free is a lamb standing right in front of it. And that lamb looks at peace as it looks off into the distance. And so those are our cards. Let's get this reading. Okay. I'm so excited about the outcome because that looked good. Like, the outcome absolutely looked good. Especially because of the type of moment that we're in, and this moment in general, but like this little war moment was crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna start reading to you guys what was said here. So here's how it goes. All right, so the topic of this is what is holding back those who can actually act? Like, what does this moment need? And so we have here that that this card in reverse speaks of wisdom withheld, truth second guessed, or discernment clouded by isolation. I'm going to hold it up for you again. I think I will. Truth, and we had it in reverse, but I'm going to hold it up to you so you can see it correctly. So, the bowl of water behind bars could reflect intuition imprisoned or emotion denied access to power, especially apt given how much heart and spirit are lacking in the decision making here. This figure is watching, not acting. She knows, but doesn't speak. This feels very Kamala right now. Perhaps out of fear of being misunderstood or judged. In this context, y'all, I almost didn't send that thing. All right, so where did I go? Yeah. So in this context, those who could act may feel disillusioned, disconnected, or mentally fatigued. I know I do. There's a paralysis rooted not in ignorance, but in overcautious discernment, or even fear of losing credibility. So the spiritual political read here is that we're in a moment where truth tellers are hesitating. Wise, seasoned voices are sitting atop towers instead of entering the arena. They see everything, but fear the blade of their own voice might be turned against them or might not be sharp enough to cut through the noise. I can receive that. I'm getting goosebumps, actually. I can definitely receive that, especially when you consider the fact that we're going like, where's Kamala? Where's Biden? Where are all these people who could do something? Where's our military? Where are our marshals? Where are the people who are supposed to be upholding the oath? We're asking, where are the people who can actually do something? And I can receive that. I can receive that as part of that answer. So the second part, the challenge to them stepping up was the Chariot, and we got that in reverse. And so so I'm just reading because they gave the thing that I was talking about, like a man squatting like a stowaway on the top. So, right? So then it says, this is basically motion through a transitional veil. Divine momentum meets human uncertainty. So the interpretation, the reverse Chariot screams directionless speed, momentum or movement without, hold on. Yeah, this is good. Sorry. It says that the reverse Chariot screams directionless speed, movement without purpose, momentum being hijacked. Yes. The man atop the Chariot is not the true driver. He doesn't belong there. This could symbolize false leadership, unqualified influencers, or unauthorized willpower. The horses are still charging forward, suggesting systems, militaries, or global powers moving too fast without conscious control. So the spiritual political read is that the machine is in motion, but the true guides haven't stepped in. The moment demands divine direction, but instead we have people riding the wave without knowing where they're going. There is chaos masked as progress. The portal in the sky marks a turning point. We've crossed into a moment that demands spiritual and moral leadership, not just blind allegiance or reaction. So if we take those two cards together so far, those who can take action feel mentally and morally paralyzed. So that's the Queen of Reverse. Perhaps they're believing they lost the right, the clarity, or even the platform. Meanwhile, the systems around them have already launched into motion, fueled by those unfit or unauthorized to lead, moving with speed but no clear aim. The Two of Cards significator that we had before was talking about partnership and alignment and sacred reciprocity, but the Queen is isolated and the Chariot is hijacked. So what's holding them back? Disconnection, isolation, fear of misalignment, wisdom held hostage, leadership taken over by false agents or stowaways. If this ain't a very accurate read, a sacred reconnection. So what does the moment need? A sacred reconnection of heart and truth, a reclaiming of rightful leadership, a pause to redirect the vehicle before it charges into devastation, collaboration, and courage to step down from the tower and take the reins. So then we have the Six of Cups. So this was in the past. So here we have the color blending of the cups, primary into secondary, hints at integration over time. So the Six of Cups is memory, innocence, a longing for simpler days, and in this context, possibly a time when values felt clear, where good and evil were not so entangled, and when action came from love rather than confusion or strategy. It reflects a generational divide, idealism of the past versus the weary caution of the present. The color mixing is significant. There's a suggestion that the purity of purpose, red, blue, yellow, has been compromised or blurred. Idealism tangled with pragmatism and innocence weathered over time. Let me see. That's kind of not what I picked up. I picked up some of that, but again, I feel like maybe I was adding to it, so I really did. That's why I didn't give it to chat, because I think I was adding to it, because like what I saw, and yeah, it doesn't fit, because what I was seeing is like how they're nostalgic for Make America Great, you know, so they're thinking that it was like this, and they're weather worn now and old and defeated, but they're thinking it's such an innocent time, like such a time when they were the great ideal picture. So I feel like that is partially here, but it's not all the way. So it says here that the past holds a sacred memory of what right action used to feel like. So there is that part too, right? Because we're like, there's a constitution. You got to follow the constitution. But these new people are like, what constitution? So this memory haunts the present. Many who could lead or speak are stuck in grief of lost clarity, trying to reconcile what they believed in then with the complex horror of now. So there's a deep emotional memory of a time when morality was simpler, and that's part of the paralysis. They're mourning the loss of ethical innocence. I can see that to a degree. And so what's in their mind? What do y'all think? If you got something different as an interpretation, let me know. Like, put it in the comments. All right, so the conscious mind. Here we have the devil reversed. And so this is a yellow-eyed man. And in reverse, this entire image is like disrupted, right? And they're saying that the goat tattoo is like a nod to the ego, control, or temptation. I feel like goat was like some kind of evil thing, like Beelzebub or something. I can't remember. But anyway, so the devil reverse is the moment when you realize you're in bondage, and the moment you could choose to break free. In the conscious mind position, this speaks of growing awareness that those in power have manipulated the narrative, and that there is a puppet master dynamic at play, which we know is true. But being reversed, it suggests that many are beginning to see the strings, and the strings are apparent. Like when you look, y'all can see them strings, right? So many people are seeing the strings, and to understand that they've been played, or that power, ego, and fear have silently run the show. And so this is a collective consciousness awakening to manipulation, fear-based control, and the illusion of helplessness, because it is an illusion. It really is an illusion. Like, we literally have history books of people who've gotten out of this same shit. Why aren't we following them? But anyway, however, the energy is resisting accountability. That answered my question. Because to admit you've been controlled or complacent is to admit shame, is to face your shame. This is cognitive dissonance on a mass level. People are trying to justify their inaction while realizing they've been emotionally, spiritually, and politically manipulated. This devil reverse is a tug of war between comfort and bondage and the terrifying prospect that freedom demands action. Ain't no wait until November 2026. What are you waiting for? Are they waiting? Like, no. All right, so 3 and 4 together It's echoes in awareness. So the Six of Cups says, we remember when we knew who we were. We long for the clarity of yesterday. And the Devil reverse says, we now realize we've traded that clarity for comfort or fear or control. And it's costing us our freedom and our soul's integrity. So together, we're at a transition point between grieving the innocent loss and reclaiming spiritual autonomy. What's holding people back is not just fear. It is emotional conflict between the desire to return to a time that felt righteous and the terrifying call to break free from narratives, parties, or beliefs that have become prisons. Because y'all, if you like really think about it, if we are able to take action and get them, right? What happens? What's our government? Like, how does this work? Because we've never been here before. So yeah, that is actually a pretty scary time, right? That's actually really scary. Like, when you really, really think about it, because I wonder, like, will we have a democracy? Like, what does this look like? Because the one good thing that has happened is all the holes have been exposed. Every loophole, every little slip and slide that they can go into, they have gone into. And so they've all been exposed, which is great, but not, right? Okay, so then we have the fifth one, right? And this was the Ace of Pentacles. And, you know, the roots are springing downward. It reaches into the unseen soil. It's not fully grown. The potential is tangible. The ground is raw, real messy. Is his hands in the dirt, energy, promise, preparation, creation. But in reverse, something in the seed doesn't get planted, or worse, is planted and contaminated soil. So that's what we're dealing with. So upright, this card would be a sign of a new beginning in the material world. Grounded progress, hope that grows. But in the reverse, it becomes a missed opportunity. It becomes a missed opportunity for grounded transformation. Potential that remains dormant. Fear of investment, fear of risk, or something that has been planted in tainted soil, which we got. And a flawed foundation. So this card speaks loudly to resource mismanagement, hesitation to act, and wasted potential if the current path continues. Because y'all, they could do something. But the longer they wait, the more entrenched this thing becomes. So there's divine energy, resources, tools, even sacred strategy that's available like right now. Like they have it in their hand, literally in their hands. It's literally there. And they're not using it. So those who can act are either too afraid to get their hands dirty, or they're too preoccupied to see that inaction is actually planting seeds of consequence. So if nothing changes, the opportunity to plan a different future will rot in the waiting, and the land will go untilled, and the people will suffer. And so this is like a quiet prophecy of collapse through neglect. But it's also spiritual burnout. Those who could act may feel like they planted seeds before they didn't grow, which is true. Like, how many of these impeachments have we put forth? So I understand that. And now they're afraid to try again. And I hear that from people like, oh, we've done it before. Nobody's going to go for it. We're in a different life now. You know, keep trying. Or worse, the system around them has convinced them that grounding spiritual truth into real-world systems is impossible. And this card says BS. Not only is it possible, it needs to be done. So this seed may be withheld because of gatekeeping or elitism. Let somebody else plant it. It's not my job to dig in the mud. Or it may reflect the belief that no seed can grow in this current climate, which is kind of fatalistic. If you listen to some people, they're like, oh, they're all bought. Oh, they're all taken. Oh, the government just needs to burn all the way down. It's like, okay, and then what? You don't have solutions. All you have is negativity, and you can take that shit over there, because I don't want to hear it. Because that shit over there, because I don't want to hear it. Because I have kids. Like, there has to be something for them. All right. So the future is in jeopardy, but again, not because of lack of possibility, but because of lack of faith in the work. If action is not taken, what could be planted will be lost. And the moment really requires us to get dirty. It requires our hands in the soil. So and then the refusal to actually do that work, to do the grounded spiritual work in the real world, is what's at the root of our stagnation. So in the future, too. Oh, okay. It gave us all. It gave us all a lot quicker. Oh, you didn't break it down like that. Because I read them all in the same thing. Okay, so in the future, it says near future, if nothing changes, illusion. What card was that? That was the card that fell, I think. No, that's the Eight of Swords. Yeah, Eight of Swords. So, in the future, if nothing changes, the illusion becomes prison. Like, you're literally free, but you see yourself imprisoned. If that ain't the truth, you're literally free, but you see yourself in prison. Oh, they're coming to take our jobs. Ain't you working? Like, what? Okay. So the image of seeing a woman, seeing herself bound and attacked, shows that this is perceived. The truth is you're free. But without spiritual intervention, this collective will believe itself powerless, and that belief will manifest in action. You know what this also is? Because I keep hearing people say, we certified the votes. You certified the votes for somebody who should have ran a clean race. You did not certify the votes for an illegitimate ticket. You can fight that shit. Like, literally, there's got to be a loophole there to do that. But they're like, no, we're bound. This is all we can do. Bull BS. You have the ability to do more. So then the 7 is, this is not lazy energy. It's cautious, slow moving. This is a cautious, slow moving force that have been stalled. I can't tell you how cautious a freaking Democrat is. And I know, like, the flag officers and stuff, they're like, oh, when he crossed the line, I don't know how many more lines he needs to cross. I really don't. Hopefully this was it for at least the military people. So those who can act are trying to do it perfectly, systematically, and what ends up happening is you get stuck. So perfectionism, planning without planting, and fear of slow failure have arrested the meaningful movement. And that brings us to the 7 of Wands, which was in reverse. And so the 7 Wands says that the protective, meditative energy of spirit is being compromised. People are feeling like they can't hold their center. They're exposed. They're overwhelmed. They are spiritually scattered. So the environment is hostile. The wands are aimed at her chakras. Aimed at her chakras now show attacks on balance, on sovereignty, and on wholeness. Reverse, this shows the collapse of sacred boundaries. Energetic burnout on a mass scale, which is true. And then we have this card that we drew as a significator. And the hope is for unity, but the fear is we'll never achieve it. We want divine reconciliation between opposites, but the fear that the bridge between them and us is broken forever. But the fear is that. And the rainbow liquid can still pour, but the fear is we'll never be able to hold each other again. Too much has already happened. And you know, I said that too. So, I get it. And so here was our outcome. This is what'll happen if we will do it. And what's really interesting is people keep getting this. And if you notice, they're both female. And every single reader over this whole year has been talking about the sacred feminine. They keep talking about it being a female. And so this is really interesting that it came out because it says the sacred feminine rises. She is intuitive truth, divine mystery, spiritual intelligence, and she sits between the seen and the unseen. Her third eye is open, her mouth closed. She doesn't fight, she knows. And so the people who must act will not be pushed by pressure, but awakened by spirit memory. The ones holding back aren't warriors, they're oracles, and they will begin to rise. Interesting. And then it says here that for strength, this is not brute force. This is sovereign softness. The girl and the lion, the lamb and the infinite. This card speaks of inner courage, spiritual presence, embodied power. So strength is not, the strength needed is not military or political. It is soul deep, humble, and heart-led. So altogether, it says here that there is a collective spiritual blockage in the face of moral crisis. The ones who can act are not the unaware, but the over-aware. The thinkers, the wisdom holders, the memory keepers. And what's holding them back isn't lack of knowledge, it's fear, grief, and fatigue. They see the puppet strings, the devil. They remember the truth, Six of Cups, but they're afraid that the chariot had moved too far without them, chariot reverse. And so the soil waits for planting, but the belief in personal power has been shattered. That's the truth. And yet, Spirit isn't done. The outcome cards tell a different story, a different ending. The High Priestess and the Strength together says, if we reclaim our spiritual sovereignty, we can still plant the seed. If we embody compassion, we can still lead. But we must first come back to center, come back to spirit, and remember our power was never outside of us. And I think that's the truth. Like, so many people feel hopeless, helpless, that they can't change this moment. And that is obviously not true. We absolutely can't. And it's so interesting because we got like negative card, negative card. And then all of a sudden the outcome is like, chick, if you move, if you get busy, you can rock this. Okay, so what does this moment need? It needs reconnection to spirit, sovereignty, and sacred vision. It needs quiet wisdom to speak again. It needs courage, not of fists, but of hearts. It needs the rainbow reconciliation of the Two of Cups, not just as a dream, but as a prophetic responsibility. And so this really is pretty awesome. It's saying, remember your power. Remember your power and use it. So to get back to the question at hand, what is holding them back from action is that they don't remember that as an individual, they are just as powerful as they are together. Everybody's waiting for someone else to step up, but that someone else is literally the person in the mirror. That's awesome. That's an awesome reading. I feel better. I do. I feel better about it. Do y'all feel better about it? I feel better about it. I really do. Okay. So, I want to say, because I feel like I'm getting a message real quick. That was interesting. I want to say something. Something's coming in. Does anybody have any questions, by the way? We can look at your questions. I know that was a long reading, but I feel like something's coming in. And it's so funny, because, okay, I don't know how old y'all are, but there's a show called Kim Possible, right? No, That's So Raven. I'm hearing That's So Raven. And the words are, you can stare into the future. That's all I remember. But I hear the rest of it, like, life is a dream. Oh gosh, I need to look up the words because I feel like that's part of the message there. I gotta look that up. So it's That's So Raven, not Kim Possible. That's So Raven. Oh, I just threw my computer. I need to look that up. I need to look up the words because I hear it in my head, but when I'm trying to vocalize it, I can't hear it. If you stare into the future, life could be a dream. Life is a dream. I don't know the words. I gotta get to the words. Okay, but what was that about? All right. What's the message? Okay, somebody does have a question. Because I was starting to hear the question. And it was something like, will I... And then, like, I opened my eyes. I'm trying not to force the question. Because I'm hearing, like, will I get the job? Will I leave him? I'm hearing different things. But that could be just me forcing it. So let me, like, pull back from that. Seeing roses, rose. I'm seeing a bunch of roses. And they're being given. Okay, so I'm seeing a bunch of roses being given. They're red roses, so I'm assuming this is a relationship. but I'm going to hold back on that assumption. But this feels like someone, it's definitely a man, because it's coming off with male energy. And I see something of a suit. It feels like it's a custom suit. Is this prom? Custom suit. And I'm still hearing That's So Raven. So I guess I'm getting teenagers, maybe prom, homecoming. Okay. Like he feels awkward. Was this a first boyfriend? Maybe like a first love? I think this is a first love. Okay. This feels like first love, like high school love. First love, high school? Yeah, because Raven was in high school. Or was she in middle school? I don't know. Like I'm seeing these little shiny fancy shoes that boys wear when they go to like a prom or something. He has this bunch of roses. Not even like a thing. Like he's so awkward. He's awkward because he's like excited. Is this a memory? I think this is a memory. Like he just feels so awkward. Like he was afraid, I guess maybe afraid to ask you. Either it was afraid to ask you to prom or was just excited to ask you to prom. And I feel like he's looking at you with I don't want to say love because he was young, but it was just that adoration is I guess the word that I'm going to use here. Like he just adored you. But it feels really young, so I'm not even sure if it's high school. It might be like 8th grade or something. Okay. It's not just a high school dance. It's definitely one of those end of year type of things. Oh, and I'm hearing like my mom made me wear a tie. My mom made me wear a tie. Does he have braces? It looks like he has braces. Wear a tie. I feel like he has braces. He's really young. Like early teens. I don't think he's late teens. So I'm feeling like 13, 14. But is this a memory? Not rainy past, but is this a memory? Okay, I'm actually hearing that he did pass young. Oh. Okay, he did pass young. Okay, so I guess like the dance was a highlight before he passed. Or that he was looking forward to. No, it definitely was a dance. It wasn't just looking forward to the dance. Because again, I hear again like my mom made me wear a tie. Um, okay, so I keep hearing That's a Raven. So there's something about that. I don't know. Is the name Raven? That's a Raven. Wait, who did she like? Who did she like? Did she like her best friend? No, she didn't like her best friend. He liked her. Why am I here? That's a raven. Is it just... I don't think it was... I just like Disney. Alright, hold on. Let me just tune in a little bit, and then we're gonna see what he has to say, and then we're gonna go. Okay, I'm feeling like he passed in a park, because I'm hearing I got lost. That's interesting, because I see like, you know, skinny trees, so it's like a woods and stuff, but I also see water, and it's feeling like I got lost. I got lost. So it was winter time? Winter. Okay, why would you... I got lost. Whoa. Nope. That feels like it's going too dark, and I don't want to get dark. I don't want to go that dark. Because that feels like that was someone else involved in that, and that feels really dark, and I don't want to go there. So I'm sorry, you're gonna have to back away, babe. Nope, I'm not going there. I'm sorry though. Nope, I'm leaving that energy. Thank you. By dark, I mean like what happened to him. I don't mean like he was a dark spirit or anything, but what happened to him was dark, because I saw someone else there, and the energy of that shifted and changed, and I don't want to read on that. Nope, I will not, because like stuff like that stays with me, so I don't want that. Okay, I'm sorry if somebody was looking for answers about what happened to him. I'm just gonna leave it at the I got lost, and I feel like he either ran away from someone or he ran into someone who didn't mean him any good, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So, and this was in the woods. I'm leaving it at that. I'm feeling really bad. I don't want that. Nope. Moving on. All right. So I'm gonna call it a night then. Night at 7:30 in the morning. I'm gonna grab a nap. But I wanted to keep my word to myself. This was my 8th reading. My 8th live. Thank y'all for hanging out. So the end message to the card reading we had earlier is people aren't doing what they know they can do because they don't know they can do it. But they will do it. We will end up in a better place once they realize that they can. And so I think our job is to pressure them a little bit and remind them who they are. Like really send the message of this isn't covered in the Constitution. This is not covered in the Constitution. We have... I need that energy to leave. we have things we can do because it's not covered in the Constitution. So now, what action do we take? Now you do have power. What is covered in the Constitution is you have an oath to the Constitution. So if you know people in this area or what have you, or just writing to your people, remind them that that's an illegitimate ticket and therefore is not certified. It's actually invalid. And that is where we're going to leave it. Y'all have a beautiful night. Amen.